Ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention, please. Carl Hunsinger, the chairman of the Manatee County Veterans Council, would like to welcome you here today.
Thank you, Don. We got, not to coin this from before, but we have a really big show for you today. But I will say this, we have some great people behind us here, and everybody welcome back our former commissioner, Colonel Larry Bussell, and his wife. Please welcome them. We also have Commissioner Banak with us too, Betsy Banak, so she's with us as well. And there'll be more introductions once Don gets up here, but we have many. But all you veterans, raise your hand so I can see every one of you veterans that served, every single one of you that served. All right, thank you very much. And today we're going to have, of course, our ceremony, and then we're going to go right into the parade. That's what's going to come through probably about a quarter after we're going to start them. And so this won't be as long as it has been in the past. We have one formal speaker today, and that's it. And we have a few other remarks in the proclamation, so it'll go along pretty good. And then, of course, after the parade, we have a band that's going to kick off. Please hang in here for the band. We do have food trucks behind me out on the field in the park, Sutton Park. And we also have Kona Ice back there. And today is a hot, kind of a summer day again, isn't it? And no rain as predicted. Don, it's your show.
Please rise for the national anthem and the prayer. Bugler, call the colors.
Good morning and welcome. We're very glad you're here. Let us pray together. Father God, help us to turn our hearts and minds to our active duty American soldiers as well as the veterans past and present. Our veterans past and present, let us be eternally grateful for all the efforts that they have made to keep this wonderful country of America free at home. Amen.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave, home of the brave.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Gary Tibbetts, Special Assistant to Congressman Vern Buchanan, to say a few words.
Thank you, Don. And I just want to say what an honor it is for me to be here today, and I appreciate the opportunity on behalf of Congressman Buchanan to help honor the men and women who have proudly served our armed forces. Throughout history, men and women of the United States have answered the call to duty. From every walk of life, they have left their families, their friends, and sacrificed comfort, time, money, and even their lives in the service of the country to protect our freedoms. Every veteran deserves the honors that will be presented to them today by many Americans across the country for their unwavering sacrifice and dedication. On behalf of the Congressman, I thank all servicemen and women for their courageous service. We should also give thanks and prayers for those who are serving today. We can't forget them. So I thank you for letting me be here today to represent the Congressman. And let's honor our veterans today the way that we should. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Gary. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Shirley Gruber Bryant will read the Palmetto Proclamation.
Good morning, all, and welcome to the city of Palmetto. Yet again, it's our honor and privilege to be participants and sponsors of the Veterans Parade. I'd like to say thank you for everybody coming out. For next year, I'd like for every seat to be taken, because this great country owes a great deed, a great debt to all these veterans that have served, currently serving, and have served and been lost in the past. At this time, I'll read the proclamation by the city of Palmetto. Whereas throughout the course of American history, courageous men and women have taken up arms to secure, defend, and maintain the principles upon which our nation was founded. And whereas today there are millions of veterans who served our nation in times of peace and war, and by their service, they have kept America strong and have protected our way of life from tyranny's grip for over 2 centuries. And whereas at this moment, men and women of the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard are serving around the world and represent resolute dedication to protecting our freedoms. And whereas on Veterans Day 2017, we pause to reflect upon the sacrifices of all those who have served in the uniform of the United States military, to honor our veterans who throughout history have proven heroism and love of country time and time again. And whereas the Congress of the United States of America has provided that November 11th of each year shall be set aside as a legal public holiday to honor our veterans. Now, therefore, I, Shirley Gruber Bryant, Mayor of the City of Palmetto, Florida, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2017 as Veterans Day in the City of Palmetto, Florida, and I urge all citizens to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans and to remember that freedom is not free. I encourage veterans to share their experiences with young Americans by speaking at schools and teaching a new generation the importance of the liberties they fought to defend. Thank you for being here today. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Mayor. Our speaker today is going to be, is it Chief Master Sergeant? Yeah, Chief Master Sergeant Carl Hunsinger.
Okay, if you get tired of seeing me, that's okay, just look the other way. But I will say this, we did have a speaker here for you today. Logistics being what it is, he's not able to make it in time, but that's okay, because he has a heroic story that he won't tell of himself, that I can say a little bit about him and what he represents. And other than the fact that he represents, Brian represents the United States of America, and he represented the United States Navy he was also embedded with the United States Marine Corps. How many Marines do we have here? How many understand when you're in the battlefield that a Navy corpsman can make a difference between life and death? And he was one of those that made that happen. We were actually in Iraq close to the same time. Back in 2004, he was just north of Mosul, where I was stationed at. And Brian started off, and he does not mind me saying this, he's very proud of it, and he should be, because he started out in a homeless veteran status, and this young man has excelled beyond that. He now has a program called Vet to Chef. Vet to Chef brings homeless veterans off the streets and gives them a purpose at another part of life to be successful once again. Because they were successful when they joined their military service and was part of that small percentage of 1 or 2 nationwide that would raise their right hand and wear the uniform defending this nation. And he was one of those, and he does that for all of his veterans that go into his classes. He's been able to get his veterans 100% employed as a result of that, because of each and every one of you, every single one here, every business in our great community here in Manatee County has been able to step up and recognize the fact that our veterans have some skill sets, leadership and organizational skill sets are already developed and don't need to be developed a whole lot further. And he is able to do that with these veterans. And he brings them out of different places to include the Veteran Village, and works with all the agencies like Goodwill and the Jewish and Children's Families Foundation, Family Services rather, and all the other agencies that are around us. Now, today, we have many challenges going on throughout this nation. We're being pulled apart left and right. And let us not be divided, because a divided nation is not what we really need to be. All of us that served under the flag of the United States of America comes first. All the Americans in the United States and all of our territories, every one of those matter, and we come together as a family. No time for division. We see that on the news. We hear about it every now and then from one place or the other, and it seems like it's falling apart, but it's not, because we got great American citizens such as you here today and every day making a difference for all of us, making us a greater country every single day. And with that, you've got one of the shortest speeches you're going to hear, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Carl. Next, I'd like to introduce our Grand Marshal for the parade today. He's Mr. Nick Thurman from the Tropicana Valor Group. A lot of you may not know, but Tropicana has over 400 veterans working there. They formed their own group, and they work with us on the Veterans Council also. So, Nick, you're taller than me, so.
There you go. Oops. Man,
There you
it's
go.
almost too big.
There you go. You want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Also modest. Our auxiliary member of the year is Ms. Mary Silcox, president of VFW 2488 Auxiliary. Mary is an exceptional woman with the ability to lead and inspire the members of her auxiliary organization, the VFW members, and our many friends of the post guests. Prior to the reorganization of the VFW auxiliary program under one structure, Mary was instrumental in guiding members of the previous women's and men's auxiliaries into one cohesive team, with members sharing the same commitment to helping veterans as well as the community at large. Mary carries this can-do attitude forward in everything she does for the post and all its members. Her teams support the JROTC program, assistance for elderly members and families living in the Palmetto area. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Mary Silcox. Yeah, you might take the hat off. Oh, okay. There you go.
You know us women and our hair.
I tell you. Go.
I just want to say that I'm very honored. I'm very honored to be given this award this year. It was very unexpected. I'd like to accept on behalf of every auxiliary member out there, because without any of you, I can't do what I do, and we can't do what we do, and we do best for our veterans and our families. So I thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the wind is not working today. Okay. 3 years ago, we started a new program called the Civilian of the Year. This is for an individual or an organization, civilian-wise, that does the most to support our veterans in Manatee County. This year's recipient is Mr. Charles Clapsaddle from METV. You normally only see his back because he's looking this way at the cameras. His lofty goal was to learn about the film industry and television. He learned as much as possible in his school in England as a young man. Soon he was in Los Angeles and had an active role in filmmaking. For the last 17 years, Charles has worked weekends and holidays to take the Manatee County Veterans Council Memorial Day and Veterans Day service like he's doing today, to help bring public awareness to what our veterans do for our country. He runs public service announcements for the METV station for upcoming veterans events. He taped the dedication of the new flagpole in Veterans Park when we dedicated it, as well as the dedication to a new name we added to the Vietnam Wall a couple of years ago. He has worked with Dr. Len Sorotsky for 14 years, taping American veterans for our community. All his efforts with our veterans is done above and beyond his regular service to Manatee County. Mr. Charles Clapsaddle. I don't want to mess the hair.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone that's here today. It takes a great deal of effort to come out on a beautiful day like today and listen to stories about our veterans. I want to thank the Manatee County Veterans Council for this very special recognition. But I accept it on behalf of all of us at METV, who work very hard every day to produce programs about veterans and the services here. And one of our staff, Richard Brooks, is a Navy veteran. I'd like to give him a round of applause right here. A special note of recognition is due to Mr. Carl Hunsaker, Jerry Coons, and Don Courtney for their long leadership of the Manatee County Veterans Council and for their continuing efforts on behalf of veterans in our community. Their efforts are really to be applauded. And I have one special thank you, and that's for Dr. Len Sorotsky. For the last 14 years, Dr. Sorotsky has come to us with ideas and storylines to produce a program series called Americans Veterans. And that has been a duty and a responsibility that we take very seriously. And I just want to personally thank Dr. Sorotsky for the time and effort that he's put into this. It's our responsibility and our obligation to produce programs that highlight the service and the sacrifice of veterans here in our community. And that has indeed been a privilege. And some of these stories have included veterans that you know, like the story of Warren Sweetman, who came ashore on the first wave at D-Day, and 3 Purple Hearts later, right to the Battle of the Bulge. Or the story of the commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the Korean War, told by survivors who struggled in that bloody conflict. Or to tell the story of an extraordinary man, Navy pilot Brad Smith, who on his 80th mission over Vietnam was shot down and spent 7 long years as a prisoner of war. And we also told the story of a local hero, a gentleman, another fighter pilot who was shot down and survived. And that gentleman is Colonel Larry Bussell, and he deserves a round of applause. To record, document, and archive these stories and so many more has indeed been our privilege. And we're going to continue to produce programs that provide information about the services and resources for veterans here in our community. Manatee County is very blessed to have a very active Veteran Service Office under the leadership of Lee Washington. And if you need information, Lee is there to help you. Veterans need the support of the entire community. And to all those men and women who have served in desolate areas and in dangerous times, we, all of us, owe them a debt of gratitude that perhaps we can never repay, but we need to try. And on this Veterans Day, I would ask that everybody seek out a veteran,
Thank them for their service and listen to their story, and you'll be glad that you did. Again, thank you to the Veterans Council for this great recognition, and to all our veterans, thank you. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have our closing prayer here in a minute, but I would like to remind you to please stay. The parade is on its way. We should be hearing the band here shortly because we have the Braden River Band is third float, and we have entertainment up here. So, Carol, the closing prayer, please.
Heavenly Eternal Father, we are moved by the speakers and people that we have met today. May we always, not just today, honor and consider our American servicemen as a real gem, a real wonderful thing. We also ask God's blessings on all our American military. Have a wonderful day enjoying. Amen.
So is that the shortest program? We're not in the sun as long with the ceremony today, but yet we had quality, and we have the ability to kick off the parade instead of coming behind the parade. We're going to continue to do that from this point on, and you'll see more things happening here beyond that. I'm going to go ahead, while the parade is already en route to us now, you will hear the Braden River Band, I'm sure, performing here in about 2 minutes, but before that, stick around, of course, for the parade, but we also have our band kicking on until the parade comes nearby, and then they'll cut, and then they'll start again after the parade. Wish everybody a great time today, and remember, this is a celebration of Veterans Day and all that Veterans Day represents. So enjoy your day and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Please be seated, and I can hear some of the parade coming now.
Thank you again for joining us today at this beautiful Veterans Parade in downtown Palmetto, Manatee County, Florida. We are stepping off our parade today with the Manatee County Sheriff's Department Honor Guard. Please stand and honor the flag today.
We're here on Veterans Day in Sutton Park in Palmetto with the 2017 Veteran of the Year, Brian Jacobs. Brian, how does it feel to be saluted today as Veteran of the Year?
Well, it's a humbling and honorable experience. It's something to be, noticed for standing out within, 40,000 veterans that Manatee County has. And I couldn't ask for any other better place to be representing veterans here in Southwest Florida. We have a great veteran community. We have great veterans. We have a great civilian community. We have a great community in general. And it's all about everybody coming together. So it's an honor to be able to stand before and lead a path into change.
Well, your story and your service is really inspirational. And what you've done, taking your story and made it inspirational for other people, is certainly noteworthy. Tell us a little bit about your Vet to Chef program.
Well, started my Vet to Chef program. We lost my father here standing with me, another Navy veteran. We lost my brother 3 years ago to veteran suicide, and he failed to find a reintegration, a path back into life. And food was that path for me. And through this path, we're helping reintegrate veterans through food and brew programs, through Vet to Success. We have a Vet to Chef program, a Vet to Brew program, a Vet to Agro program, Vet to Coffee, Vet to Baker, and we're just happy that we can stand next to each other as veterans again, new fire team, new squad, new mission, and make a difference in our community here locally.
And that's a big part of it too, is to have that connection, that you don't have to go through it by yourself. You don't have to do it on your own. You've got your friend, your pal, your buddy right next to you.
Right. Well, we stand by very simple things in the military. It matters to guide your left, right, front, and back. And yet again, we're coming back together in a new focus. And we're giving back that brotherhood and that camaraderie. And with that, you can do anything.
Well, your story is something that's truly inspirational. Your dad's here with you, another U.S. Navy veteran. How does it make you feel if you see your son getting honored as Veteran of the Year, sir?
Yeah, I can describe it. The whole family, they're so proud of Brian and everything that he's accomplished. In addition to all the vets that support him and everything, it's amazing. It really is pure amazing. We're very proud of him.
You've got a great turnout today. You got high school kids here, the ROTC units. You've got actual veterans from World War II all the way through. It's got to make you feel proud to look around and see this great turnout.
Well, it's, to know that there's, men who have gone before me, like my father, my grandfathers, their grandfathers, just like the men and women standing here today. It's an honor to be amongst them. I mean, we are 10% of the population, and that's a small percentage based upon how many is actually serving. And so we have more veterans to join our forces, and we as veterans need just to set a new standard for them.
Oh. Brian, first of all, you're to be congratulated, not only for what you've done for veterans, but also your continued success in the culinary field as well. Didn't you just recently go to Paris and study there as well?
I was in Lyon, France, where I was at the Institut Paul Bocuse, and that was just an amazing honor. I couldn't have said anything. I mean, to be able to travel and do what you love and live what you love is amazing. But what was such an honor with this is that it's given me a really greater picture of what I want to do with my life, and that is, to continue to change veterans' lives through food and brew programs. And we got some really great things happening, a really great vision of what's to come with a new idea come together, and we're going to bring back veterans back together in one spot, one place to make it happen.
And we want to hear all about that. When you're ready to talk about it, please, we welcome you back to METV. As a corpsman, serving, saving lives, being there in the front all the time. What do you want people to know about the importance of honoring veterans?
Well, doing what I did in the military, it was a very different job. Being a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, it was meant when you were in harm's way, but you really never felt like you were in harm's way because you were safe. You felt in the safest in your life when you were in combat. Someone had your six. There was something that made you want to continue serving, and that continue to serve is what these veterans and my veteran brothers are looking for. And when we get out, we still have a mission to accomplish. We still have a mission to follow through on, and that mission is to help reintegrate our brothers who are serving overseas now back home, so we don't have the issues of homelessness and PTSD untreated properly, and reintegration not being focused properly. And together, as veteran brothers and sisters, we can come together and make that happen.
And one final question for you, Brian, if I may. If you had the opportunity to speak to a lot of the young people that were here today in the parade and here enjoying the rest of the day, what would be that one message that you would like people to know from your grandfather to your father to you. What's that one message that you want people to know about the importance of honoring veterans?
Well, here lately we often sit in times of turmoil, and we just need to understand that to be a veteran, it's a very honorable thing, and if you have the honor inside you to serve this country, do it. There's nothing better in this world. I would never change my service. I would go forward again if they called me, and I hope that one day my children serve in the armed forces. It's just a life-changing event. I couldn't ask for anything else.
Hello, I'm Carl Hunsinger, the County Council Chairman, and with us we have today Major Richard Sutton. The namesake, of course, goes to his nephew of Sutton Park, is where we're located today. And Richard, how you feel about being here, sir?
I feel great, and be here for every other times as long as I live. Of course, I'm 89, and sometimes it's a little trouble walking around, but I love the Air Force, and I love Palmetto too.
You know, and we have this major, and we're talking 89 years old, and look at him in the uniform. He looks great. We all want to be like that after retirement, to be able to wear the uniform. I myself wonder if that's going to happen in 2 or 3 more years.
Oh,
Richard, could you tell us a little bit about Sutton Park, your nephew? Your nephew?
Well, my brother Ben, that was his son, second son, and they just live a couple of blocks down there. And he was such a great kid, and he was at he was a helicopter pilot, and he picked me up from Vietnam in January of '69, and graduated. He graduated and got his become a helicopter pilot, and he wanted me to go up and pin his wings on, but my daughter was getting married, and I couldn't do that. So, and then he went to right away when he graduated. He went to Vietnam, and then in January, September 9th, I think it was, he was killed. But he was a great guy. To give you an example, when I was transferred to France, and we bought a new house right here, because at that time we couldn't take our family. And when I left, there was the first month, he went out there because there was no man in the house to protect my family and other kids. But so I remember him for that, and he just was just a great kid.
Well, that's a great story. And there was an article just recently in the paper that explained a lot of these things. And the fact is that his name, we will always remember that, was Sutton Park right here in Palmetto. So and that is the name that you also have right here, and that's an amazing story that goes with that. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
But Major, it's a pleasure having you here, and I hope you have a great time today.
Thank you, and well, I won't miss any of it.
Who bids the cheered our crews and cheered again for showing how to fight. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, high Coast Guard, we are for you. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Attaboys, give her the gun, give her the gun! Down we dive, spouting our flame from under, off on one hell of a course. We live in fame, or go down in flame. Hey, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. Over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and those gay songs go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march and right about, and those gay songs go rolling along. Then it's right. For wherever you go, you will always know that those gay songs go rolling along. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
Hello, I am Chief Master Sergeant Carl Hunsinger, retired United States Air Force, and I am the chairman for Manatee County Veterans Council. We have 40,000 veterans that we represent. With me here today, I have my brother. The day after the Marine Corps ball, and we are still enjoying being the veteran that we enjoy doing every day with many other veterans around us. And with me, I have Kirk Hunsinger, a gunnery sergeant from the United States Marine Corps, and he is glad to have an airman standing next to him for a short period of time, but I am also even happy to have a Marine, my brother, right next to me. Kirk, what do you think about this?
Well, I think that's absolutely wonderful, Carl, or Chief Master Sergeant. Since you are a senior to me, I'm having a great time. If I could do this every year, I'll come every year and enjoy myself while I'm here. I had a great time last night at the Marine Corps birthday ball, and I know you did as well. Thank you.
Yeah, talk about your tour of duty, Kirk. Where have you been?
Well, let's see. Starting off, of course, boot camp, the great 13 weeks of training. And then after that, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where I stayed for about 3 years. After that, I went to Okinawa, Japan, where I had a wonderful time with the Japanese. After that, came back to Camp Lejeune and for a couple years, and then went to Beirut in 1983. And a little bit before the bombing, actually it was July or August of 1983, I came back to the United States, and they put me on recruiting duty, where I became a recruiter for 3 years in Birmingham, Alabama. After that, I was given orders to go to Camp Pendleton, California, where I served my 3-year tour there, and back to Okinawa, Japan. After Okinawa, Japan, I was blessed to come back to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where we did the Desert Storm, Desert Shield. After that, I was blessed with orders to go to Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station in Hawaii.
And that was the only assignment location that my brother and I actually served, as I was at Hickam Air Force Base at headquarters PACAF, the Pacific Air Forces, and my brother Kirk was on the other side of the same island. First time and only time in our career, and of course he spent 22 plus years in the United States Marine Corps, and I of course didn't know how to get out, so I did almost 31 years. My concerns is that he's going to go around and try to make people do push-ups. Now that's not the Air Force thing. We don't do that all the time. We do play a little bit of golf, but you know, we have all the airspace that goes to outer space and all that kind of stuff. But the Marine Corps, they're the first in and the last out, but there's not much left when they come back. They pretty much secure whatever beachhead or whatever area they're responsible for, and we provide the close air support to support that. It is a pleasure, absolute pleasure, to have my brother with me here today. Hello, I'm Carl Hunsinger, Chief Master Sergeant, retired United States Air Force, Manatee County Veterans Council Chairman. And with us we have a veteran from the United States Army, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, sir.
Yeah, I'm Bob Hoy. I retired after 27 years in the Army and traveled worldwide, but there's really not a whole lot to talk about. Interesting places we've been, but other than that, I really don't have a lot to say about what I did or how I did it.
Bob, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, Veterans Day is the ability to recognize anyone that has ever served in a formal manner, because today we really going to get the short end of the stick when it comes to Veterans Day.
Well, Bob, one thing's for sure. Our Vietnam vets had a very much delayed welcome home, and I'd like to say welcome home.
Thank you very much.
I'm Carl Hunsinger, Chief Master, United States Air Force retired, the chairman for the Manatee County Veterans Council. And with us we have today is Nick from Tropicana. He's part of the Valor Group, and he'll explain that to you here shortly. But Nick, tell us a little about your background with the Navy, and also what Veterans Day means to you.
I was a hull maintenance technician, second class, which basically means I was a welder. I worked at Sema Newport, Rhode Island, repairing. We had 12 ships we used to take care of. Good times, miss it. And now, as far as Valor Group goes, PepsiCo has a wide range of interests in different groups, diverse groups, and Valor Group is basically in support of anything veteran, military, and days like today. But we also deal with other veterans groups that are out there. I can't think of the one in particular, but they're taking the veterans that are coming back from the war now, and it's an outdoor base. Take them hunting, fishing, deal with that.
So, Tropicana, they get much more involved than just simple what Tropicana to be in PepsiCo. They really do get involved with the community quite often, and they have a Valor Group, which is extremely important, and they are a member and support our council, which supports the 40,000 veterans, not counting the families, which could equal about 120,000 people in Manatee County. So that's very significant. And we do appreciate everything that your organization does. And I got to sit in on with your organization to see what it is you do in your meetings, and very much impressed with that. Did you have any family members that were in the military?
No, I'm the one and only.
The one and only. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Nick.
Veterans Day to me means it's a chance to meet with all the veterans of all the different wars and thank them for their service and everything that they've done for the country, and just to celebrate the fact that we have a free country because of our veterans. It's a great opportunity for all the residents of the county to come out and see our veterans, and some of them march with the veterans, and see the young kids in the JROTC units now that it will be some of our veterans later down the road in years to come. Yeah. The Veterans Council is kind of like a clearinghouse. We have a meeting once a month with about 30 different organizations in Manatee County. We discuss some of the issues that veterans are having, and sometimes we're able to resolve them, like somebody needs a wheelchair. Maybe the VFW has one that's been donated to them, so we can get it over to that veteran. We can help them do the paperwork properly, so when they go up to see the Veteran Service Office, it saves a lot less trouble and time. They get the paperwork into the VA for their disability or medical needs or whatever they have. If you have a problem, get an appointment with the Veteran Service Office, and they'll do everything they can to make sure that you get the help that you need, whether it be going to Bay Pines or putting in a claim for disability, medical reasons, whatever. They're a great organization. I just think it's a great opportunity for the people of Manatee County and other counties to thank the veterans as they see them, and just to say thank you, and we're proud of the service that they performed. Okay, we're here with Richard today, who happens to work for METV, and he's also a Navy veteran. And I'd like to ask you, Richard, what is your thoughts on Veterans Day?
Veterans Day is a great day for veterans and for all of America because it really honors those people who helped form the country and who helped secure freedom and liberty, not only for ourselves, but for other nations around the world. I mean, really.
Okay. And what was your job in the Navy?
I was a cryptologic technician, so I broke codes and did a lot of cryptologic analysis and things like that.
Did you do the Navajo code talkers?
We didn't do anything like that, but we did do a lot of monitoring of like Russian transmissions, and we did some Middle Eastern work also during that Gulf Storm.
Oh, great. Hey, Richard, what's it like working for METV, and how did you get started in it?
Well, one of the great things about being a veteran is you have access to so many great options, from medical care to housing. And one of the things that I took advantage of was school, was a GI Bill, and I got a couple of grants that allowed me to actually develop a career and continue to work in it for the past 20 years.
Great, good.
So it's one of those things that I recommend to young people out there who maybe don't know what they want to do. The military is always a great option to explore. So you can kind of get some worldly experience, and then also you get free school. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah, and you like working weekends and holidays, right?
Well, in the military, you do what you have to do to get the job done.
It's not unusual.
It's not unusual at all.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Hey, Bill, first of all, what is your experience in the Marine Corps?
Artillery at Vietnam.
When were you there?
69, 70.
Oh, okay. I got out of there before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. And what do you do now?
I had a jewelry store here in town, and I'm now retired.
Oh, great, great. And to me, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
It's kind of for all the men and women that we've lost over the years. It's something that we need to do and teach our children. And I think it's one of the, unfortunately, better days to celebrate.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
We're with Skip Hannon right now, who's a Korean War veteran, and I'd like to ask you, Skip, what was your experience like over in Korea?
Well, I got there at the middle of the war. It was kind of stagnant, almost like World War I, trench warfare, patrols, snipers, artillery duels. I was there for 13 months, drafted out of New York. I was with the artillery, 955 Field Artillery, and during that time I became a forward observer radio operator, and I was normally worked with a lieutenant and a wireman and myself, and we spotted targets, mainly bunkers, positions like that. We were there normally for 10-day periods of time, then we'd go back to our battery, and maybe a month later I'd go for another 10 or 12 days. Did that for about 6 months. We got overrun once at night by Chinese infantry, which was kind of a surprise, to say the least. So it was an adventure. I was there both during the hot summers and the freezing cold winters. So unfortunately, it ended where it all began, at the 38th parallel, even though we were in North Korea all the time that I was there. But now South Korea is a booming country, and our arch enemy now is North Korea, as it was then. And that was my experience.
I agree with you on the cold. It's the coldest country I think I've ever been in. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, it's to honor all those veterans, whether you served overseas or wherever. It's a sacrifice. People were away from their families and friends for long periods of time. As I say, I was drafted. I was not a career person. I was glad to get home. I was supposed to be in for 2 years, but we were in Korea, I got out in 21 months, which was a bonus, I guess. But in fact, today I got a call from my fellow veterans, the few that are still living, one up in New York and one down here in Florida, and just to wish each other a happy Veterans Day. So, happy Veterans Day to all.
Thank you, Skip. Appreciate your time.
Sure.
I enlisted in 1952. My intent was to go into the Marines, but the Marines recruiting office was closed, and so I decided to walk down the street in Chicago, and I found an Army recruiting station, and I said, could you guys tell me where the Navy recruiting station is? And they said yes, and I said, well, if they're closed, I'll come back and join the Army. So I went down and I joined the Navy, and I spent the next 4 years in the United States Navy, and it was a really, really great experience for me. And I got out then in 1956. My last duty station was on the island of Guam. I just felt it was my duty, my obligation. I believed very, very strongly when I was a young boy that every American should serve his or her country. And they can serve their country ways other than being in the military, of course. They can do all of they keep track of the parks and clean up things like that and so on. There's a million jobs that they could do, really. Veterans Day in today's world is absolutely critical because we have too many people who are residing in this country, and if you ask them, are you an American? They'll say no. Some people will say, yeah, I'm an American, but I don't know how to speak English to form the language of our country. And they have absolutely no idea of the history of the United States of America. And without veterans, there would be no United States of America, that's for sure.
Today we're here representing Palmetto High, and we gathered a couple cadets that we feel are optimal to help represent us, and we're going to be passing out pamphlets to the people that don't really understand. Our cadet Pepe has what do you have?
I have the pamphlets that give information about the flag and the importance of the flag.
And we're going to be passing them out to all the people attending the parade today. We have cards for the veterans that we're going to give out, telling them how grateful we are for their service.
For the students of Palmetto High School and students all around the country, it's important to have a knowledge of the service so you can show proper respect to the veterans who served for our country and protected our way of life when we are over here living our average lives. They're over there sacrificing their own and their time with their family. So it's just proper respect that we learn about and everybody else learns about their service to our country. These cards that we were passing out will show the veterans how much we appreciate them and how much we actually appreciate their time and duty that they have put into another country just to protect our own. They make America great.
I spent 2 years on a destroyer escort, in North Atlantic convoy duty until the European War ended. Then we went to the Pacific, and of course we were at Pearl Harbor getting ready to invade Japan when they dropped the bomb, and I thank President Truman for that, I'll tell you right now. And so altogether I spent 2 years on the USS Harveston, and the other time is boot camp and Atlantic City radio school. But outside, I never had a land station. Well, we got to remember all the veterans, and most of them aren't here. They're in cemetery someplace. And between Veterans Day, which started out to be Armistice Day years ago, and between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, I think it's a great tribute to the living and the past veterans. And I don't know about society today, whether they really respect what's going on. It's a different world than it was 50 years ago, and I don't know whether it's any better or not.
Hey, this is Richard Brooks from METV. I'm here with Tommy D, who serves in the United States Army. Tommy, tell us what it was like to serve in the Army.
It was very bizarre, very stressful, very sad in many, many ways. In fact, I have 100% PTSD. I've been to the psychiatric ward 3 times for it, and I can't work anymore, and all kinds of stuff.
So did you serve during a conflict?
I was in Vietnam, yeah, for 1 year and 1 week and 7 days, 6 days.
So you served your nation during Vietnam, and as a result,
19 years old. And I enlisted, and
as a result, you now have PTSD, and you're in the treatment for it.
100%.
How has the VA been? VA service been?
Oh, they are phenomenal. It's the best VA in the world. Our VA, they take care of me like I'm their son. You know, I love it. I get everything.
So why is it important that we celebrate Veterans Day here in the United States?
If it wasn't for the veterans, we'd all be picking potatoes and pulling peaches and things like that. And it's the truth, you know? It's the truth.
Like it says on your shirt, land of the free because of the brave.
Because of the brave, that's correct. I have many, many friends that died over there. And when I left, I said a silent prayer, and I told them, I said, look, I'm going to live my life for you guys because you can't live yours. And I've strived to do that my whole life. And they're on my mind every day, every one of them that died, you know, so.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tommy. Thank you very much for your service.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for being out here and showing their support for all the veterans today. It's amazing, and it's deserving of all the honor that we will give our veterans today across the country. So really appreciate everybody being here. Congressman is honored to serve at least 70,000 veterans in our district. And we want to make sure that they get every benefit and everything that they've earned for protecting our freedoms in this country. I think everyone today has to remember the sacrifices that our veterans have done, from leaving family, friends, sacrificing money, even sacrificing their lives for our freedoms. So I want everybody to remember that.
Colonel Bussell, we're here at Veterans Day. Again, you were recognized in 2013 as Veteran of the Year. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, I like to think that it's a day when we all come together in this country and recognize what people have done for this country, the way they've served and upheld the Constitution and the flag and our national anthem. And So it's a day of fulfillment for me.
You look around today, it's a great turnout. You have young people, you have veterans here that are doing. It says something about Manatee County to have these people come out and celebrate Veterans Day.
Yes, and it seems like our country is finally putting some emphasis on veterans and on the military. We need to rebuild our military and be prepared for anything that happens, because the world is a tricky place now, and we want to be ready for whatever comes. But I'm happy about our country, the way we're headed in regard to the veterans.
And Colonel, if I may say so, you're a veteran, a combat pilot who served with distinction in Vietnam, wounded in action, did a long recovery. You look around today and you see these veterans. What does it mean to you to see all these great veterans here in our community?
Well, I shudder when I see the guys that are in the Wounded Warrior movement, because they have given so much. I think I have problems sometimes, but I look around and I see guys that don't have legs or don't have an arm, and it's, I thank them for their service, and I thank them for their sacrifice, and they've got something to carry the rest of their lives, and I just wish that we could take care of them better.
And Colonel, one final comment, if I may. You've served with distinction. You've served this community well as mayor and county commissioner. What is the one thing that you would like Manatee County citizens to know about the importance of Veterans Day?
Well, as I said previously, I think it's a day that we can all come together and cast aside any kind of party or other loyalties and vote as one. We can all be in favor of veterans and supporting our heroes who serve us in foreign fields.
Mayor Bryan, first of all, congratulations for hosting another one of Veterans Day programs here in Sutton Park in beautiful Palmetto. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, it means an opportunity to really celebrate and acknowledge the veterans that have sacrificed so much. Not just them, their families, and generations to come, but it's imperative that we keep remembering and recognizing and honoring and appreciating these veterans. Freedom isn't free, and there's a lot of men and women that are going around wearing the badges, emotionally, physically, and we need to be supporting them, and we couldn't have enough events like this in my estimation, because they're there for us, and when we go to bed at night, they're still on duty around the world. So I just want to say thank you to all the veterans.
As you look around today, it's a great turnout here, and the parade is coming after the event today, which is really nice. But it's a great turnout, and in Palmetto, it must make you very proud to see this turnout.
Oh, I'm very excited. It means that our community is paying attention, and they know who has looked out for them, who's helped to protect their freedom so that they can have events such like this, and for future and years to come. So I'm really proud of Palmetto.
And one final question for you, Mayor. What would you like this community to know about the importance of Veterans Day?
I would like for them to know what's really important right now is to make sure that they're teaching their children and insisting that the educational system provides this information and this history to the children, the youth growing up, because they shouldn't forget the history. They need to know where we came from, the different wars that the United States has been in, and how our veterans have brought us through those. So I would like to ask everybody to take the time, educate your youth, insist that they learn what a veteran, what that means, and them signing their life away perhaps in offering to serve this great country. So teach the youth for the future.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, my father was a veteran, a World War II veteran, and he received his medals kind of late because they were in that fire. And so I always think of my father on Veterans Day. I can't help it. But the people who served our country, the salt of the earth, the people who give their all, it's so important that we remember each and every year, each and every day, actually. So I'm glad to be here.
You look around today, and it's a great turnout. There's young people, there's retired vets here. What does that say about Manatee County, about wanting to show their respect for veterans on this special day?
Yeah, Manatee County is very blessed to have so many veterans, and we know how important they are in our community. And people do remember, people give back. I was at a Veterans Day parade out at the island yesterday, a great first-time event. So it's so good to see so many young people coming out, the bands, the kids, and the ROTC. It's always fascinating to see the huge groups of kids in the ROTC.
Now, as chair of the county commission, you've got to be very proud of your Veterans Services division within county government. Lee Washington has a great group of people. Why is that important for the county to have that really vital Veteran Services office?
Well, they need to know what the services are that are available to them, and it's not an easy thing, the federal government, to maneuver through. So Lee does a great job of helping people, we even helped my dad a little bit. So I certainly am appreciative of all his efforts for the county.
Commissioner, thank you, and I want you to enjoy the day here today. It's a great turnout, and to have somebody here from the county commission to help celebrate it means a great deal.
I wouldn't miss it. Thank you, and congratulations to you too.